We've all done it. You want the app, you want it now, so you scroll past the fine print and hit agree without reading. I'm Dash. I look for the shortcuts in systems that rely on you being too busy to pay attention. Most people see a legal document as a boring necessity. I see a lopsided contract designed to be ignored. Corporations use volume as a weapon. They pack these agreements with tens of thousands of words to create a defensive wall. Knowing the sheer density of the text will stop you from looking for the catches. But when you look behind that wall, you find specific clauses that dictate how you live and what you own. I categorize these as the traps, the gaps, and the crap. Clicking agree isn't just a formality, it's a surrender. By ignoring the details for the sake of convenience, you hand over legal authority to a corporation that has already planned for every possible way to limit your rights. Let's start with the trap. We're scanning the Apple Media Services Agreement, a document millions of people have signed without a second thought. Deep in Section G, you are legally promising the United States government and Apple that you will not use their software to design, develop, or manufacture nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons. Apple makes phones, not missiles, yet this clause allows them to permanently ban your Apple ID if you experiment with high-end engineering in your backyard. These clauses illustrate a broader reality. User agreements are written as infinite legal safety nets, giving the company the right to terminate your digital life over scenarios that have nothing to do with how you actually use your phone. While nuclear clauses are eccentric, the gap identifies terms that result in direct financial loss. When you click the Buy button on a digital store, the transaction triggers a limited license. You pay for a temporary key, while the studio retains the master link. If the studio revokes hosting rights, that master link is severed. The movie you bought vanishes, and the agreement ensures you aren't entitled to a refund. If you want to ensure a movie stays in your library forever, the only statistically certain method is to buy physical media. Digital ownership is essentially a high-priced rental. You are a tenant in a library where the corporate landlord can evict your content at any moment without notice. Then there is the crap, the pervasive, daily overreaches that erode your privacy and your device's performance. First, the inheritance wall. Your digital account has no legacy rights. Legally, it dies when you do, and you cannot leave it to your children. Second, the ghost tracker. Even with location services disabled, your IP address continuously pings your location back to the company under the guise of anonymized data. Third, the unannounced update. The company grants itself the power to change any of these rules at any time without sending you a notification. Fourth, the no-sue clause. In many regions, you waive your right to a public trial, agreeing to settle all disputes through private arbitration instead. Finally, the battery drain. You agree to let the company run background diagnostic processes that consume your device's processing power and battery life for their own data collection. Collectively, these terms prove that your device is legally configured to serve the interests of the manufacturer, not the person who paid for it. Trying to manually read 100 pages for every app update is a losing game. The system is designed to make that impossible. The Hactually method bypasses the wall by using the same technology companies use to write these documents. Instead of reading, use an AI scanner to target 3 specific keywords: termination, liability, and location. These isolate the company's points of maximum leverage. Termination shows how they take your account, liability what they won't pay for, and location how they watch you. Identifying these clauses transforms a massive legal wall into a 5-second risk assessment. It lets you reclaim your time and know exactly what you're signing before you click. For more ways to reclaim your life, hit subscribe for Hactually. Last time, we looked at why you aren't allowed to use your own computer parts to build a missile. Today, we're moving from the physical restrictions on what you can build to the digital restrictions on what you're allowed to keep. Most of us operate on a simple assumption. If you paid for the phone in your pocket and the movies in your library, they belong to you. We also assume that privacy is a choice, that when we tap a button to stop an app from tracking us, the tracking actually stops. These are the baseline illusions of the digital age. In reality, from the moment you unbox a device until the day you die, tech companies legally classify you as a tenant. When you stop seeing yourself as a customer and start seeing yourself as a temporary occupant, the relationship with your own hardware looks very different. The life cycle begins with your daily routine. Every time you open an app and hit Ask App Not to Track, you're interacting with a privacy setting that functions largely as a placebo. Even when you explicitly opt out, companies have developed methods to ensure their data collection follows you regardless. They use a technique called probabilistic modeling. This allows a company to identify you without needing your name, your email, or your specific account ID. The software looks at the unique technical signature of your hardware, your exact battery percentage, your screen brightness, and your current volume setting, and merges them into a digital fingerprint that is unique to your device. Because this tracking is based on hardware metrics rather than your identity, it bypasses standard privacy shields entirely. You aren't being followed as a person, you're being followed as a specific set of coordinates. This control extends beyond background tracking and into moments of system failure. Deep within the terms of service is a clause regarding emergency maintenance. This provision gives the manufacturer the legal right to remotely lock your account or even brick your physical device during any event they define as an emergency. If this remote intervention results in lost data, deleted work, or missed deadlines, the company is protected. The fine print explicitly states they hold zero liability for your lost time or property. Physical possession of a device doesn't equal control if the manufacturer holds a remote kill switch that they can flip without consequence. The final stage of this life cycle occurs when the user is no longer there to use the device at all. When a person passes away, a lifetime of digital data remains locked behind a screen. This is the inheritance wall. Over decades, a person might spend thousands of dollars on a library of digital movies, music, and books. However, you cannot put an Apple ID or a Google account in a will. Legally, these accounts are non-transferable. They cannot be passed down to children or a spouse. The reason is simple. The law views you as a renter. You didn't buy that media for your estate. You paid for a temporary license that expires when you do. At the end of the life cycle, that financial investment and personal history simply vanish. Because you've never truly owned the assets, you have no legal right to leave them behind. We are tracked while we live, locked out when the system fails, and erased when we're gone. These are the results of an economy where the concepts of property and legacy have been redefined by the fine print. These systems function best when the clauses that govern them remain unexamined by the people they affect. Hactually, protecting your digital assets requires a clear understanding of the rules the tech companies are using. Subscribe to join me for part 3, where we'll uncover the next set of rules they're hoping you don't read.